All right, counselors and guests, the time now is 6:33 and the date is January 11th. This is the first regular meeting of the Springfield City Council for the year 2021. Uh, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Counselor Edwards?
Present.
Present. Counselor Letterman?
Present.
Present. Counselor Gomez?
Present.
Present. Counselor Allen?
Present.
Present. Counselor Curran?
Present.
Present. Counselor Whitfield?
Present.
Present. Counselor Ramos?
Present.
Present. Counselor Brown?
Present.
Present. Counselor Walsh?
Present.
Present. Counselor Davila?
Present.
Present. Counselor Fenton?
Present.
Present. Counselor Hurst?
Present.
Present. Counselor Williams?
Present. All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we all rise, I just want to share a couple words also shared by Councilor Allen in an earlier call today, which I appreciate. Just at this inflection point, our democracy has proven to be fragile. And as we head into the 2021 legislative year, let us remember the sacrifices that we made to protect the very thing that allows us legislators the ability to conduct the business of the people. So with that, I just want to remember Capitol Police Officers Brian Sicknick and Howard Liebengood, who died related to the events of last Wednesday's insurrection. And with that, I would just ask all councilors to rise at this time for a moment of silence. And with the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask if there are any reports of committee. All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you just please call the first item on the agenda?
The first item on the agenda is the DPW Shared Streets and Spaces Grant in the amount of $215,603.60.
Is there anyone here to speak to that item?
I am Councilor Chris Signoli, DPW Director, City of Springfield. Excuse me. The DPW made an application to Mass DOT for approximately $167,000. It was then teamed together with a request from EchoDev, and we were awarded $215,000. We are going to be doing, as part of the Shared Streets program, a bump out in the area of Lower Worthington in the area of Theodore's to increase on-street dining, as well as overhead lighting in a section of Main Street between Main and Howard in front of the casino. This is the third application we've made to Mass DOT. Two of them have been approved. One was denied. The one that was approved was bump outs, crosswalk on St. James Avenue up in the Wellesley Street area.
Thank you, Chris. Do councilors have any questions or comments on this item? All right, seeing none. Oh, Councilor Allen, did you have something? Councilor Allen, you're on mute.
Sorry, thank you. Chris, does this have anything to do with complete streets, or is this a whole separate thing?
No, this was a program the state actually started to construct after the epidemic started to assist municipalities in increasing the amount of available space for businesses to create more business outside of their physical building. So the idea of this is to be able to have businesses do more things outside of theirs. We did work up on in front of the bodega and building on the corner of Wellesley and St. James in order for them to have some better parking, better area to sell their wares, etc.
Good. So will that be work that'll be done in calendar year 21?
Yeah, it has to be completed by May 31st.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Are there any other comments or questions on the matter? All right, seeing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on accepting grant for the DPW shared spaces, item number 1?
On accepting the grant, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes. All right, grant approved. Madam
Thank you,
Clerk.
counselors.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is Critical Services COVID-19 Grant Increase in the amount of $85,017.
Thank you. Is there someone here from the city to speak on this item? Commissioner, I believe you're also muted.
Thank you. Good evening, Councilors. Helen Carlton Harris, Commissioner, Division of Health and Human Services, 47 Overlook Drive, Springfield, Massachusetts. This is a COVID-19 grant increase. The purpose is to continue the work that we're doing, as well as the outreach efforts we're doing relative to COVID-19 in the city of Springfield.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any questions? All right, I'm seeing Councilor Letterman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Commissioner, thank you for everything you're continuing to do. I was just wondering, could you share the source of this particular grant funding?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. It's the State Department of Public Health.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions from councilors on the matter? Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, good evening, Commissioner. Regarding the contract tracing, that's a very important aspect of this battle for the world that we're doing. Would you be able to tell me with the contact tracing, how fruitful has it been in identifying new cases?
Thank you. As you know, the contact tracing initiative works, and so the positive cases that belong to the city of Springfield are given to us on a daily basis. Those case investigations are handled in two ways. One is in-house for our own staff. The second one is the contact tracing collaborative that the Commonwealth has set up. Based on the numbers that we're experiencing right now, we send probably about 40% of our cases to the contact tracing collaborative. In the city, we keep somewhere around 50 to 60% of those cases. We have a very good outcome, or the ability to do tracing from the city. That compliance is higher than the state, and that's because our calls come from a 413 area code, and our residents do pick up. When the contact tracing collaborative does it, they have different area codes, which sometimes our residents may see as individuals who are doing outreach as far as robocalls are concerned. So to answer your question, that was a long way, but we are effective in about 60% of our cases. The state is effective in about 40% of the cases we send to them.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on accepting this grant?
On accepting the grant, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton? Counselor Fenton?
Seems like we've lost Counselor Fenton.
Absent. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Grant is accepted. Can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is a Massachusetts Substance Abuse Collaborative Grant increase in the amount of $75,000.
Good evening again, counselors. Helen Carlton Harris. This grant is for substance use disorders. We have a collaboration where Springfield is the lead entity with Chicopee and East Long Meadow. And so this grant will go towards the outreach that we're doing. Most of that is currently being done on Zoom with our partners, but we do have individuals who are still doing outreach physically, just to make sure that we are engaging individuals who need our help with substance use disorders, particularly opioids, which still is a critical problem. And I know we talk a lot right now, certainly about COVID, but I will remind us all that our substance use disorder rate is still critically high, and we continue to do that outreach.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilors have any questions or comments on this item? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On accepting the grant, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes. Thank you. Grant is accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call items 4 through 6 as they all relate to TJ O'Connor? And I want to give Ms. her opportunity to speak on these items since she's here.
Item 4 is a TJO veterinarian grant. Item number 5 is a TJO veterinarian technician grant. And item number 6 is a TJO veterinary technician grant.
Is anyone here to speak to these items?
Well, she doesn't have to.
Good evening, counselors. This is Pam Peebles. I'm the director of TJ O'Connor Animal Control and Adoption Center. Thank you for the opportunity. In front of you have 3 grants from the Foundation for TJO Animals and the total of $85,201. And this will fund, it allows our veterinarian to become full-time, to go from 24 hours to 40. It allows one veterinary technician to go from 18 and a half hours to 40 hours. And it allows us to hire a vet tech 32 hours a week at the expense of the grant.
Thank you, Mrs. Peoples. Councilor Walsh, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, thank you. This gives me an opportunity to see how you're doing with COVID, and if there anything you could share with us how you've managed during this.
Well, I think just like the entire world, it sure has been interesting, and we're wishing there was a roadmap in front of us to follow. But We have been able to keep up core services, which we're really just thrilled about. We have been modifying our hours and appointments based on the ebb and flow of the COVID virus. So at the early onset of it, we put in some pretty, we just really stopped going into people's homes, asked them to meet us outside, put in some protocols that switched us to appointment only and credit only and no touch, no contact. And we were able to let up a little bit there, but we've gone right back into it. And so everything completely is by appointment based as far as the animal shelter. And then our officers still respond 24/7 to Springfield, Chicopee, and Holyoke. We have just asked them to postpone those inside home visits, such as well-being checks, potential calls about overrun with animals such as hoarderism. We have asked them to really try to identify if this seems to be really pressing, or is this a situation where we can just kind of provide some resources, get the families to allow us in a month or two or whenever this settles down. So for the most part, we're doing everything as if COVID wasn't here, except when it comes to entering homes. We've really tried to avoid that.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of concern about you and keeping that facility going. Are you able to do adoptions?
We are. It's been interesting. COVID has changed animal welfare, the industry, in ways that no one could have ever imagined. With COVID, there's been a surge in pet adoptions.
Oh,
So
no kidding.
virtually every animal shelter in, especially the Northeast, specifically Massachusetts and New England, is empty. So the very second, literally, we put an animal available on the website, our phone is so busy that we can't handle the response. So we keep trying different things to make it equitable for everyone looking for a pet to be sure and get one. However, what we're finding is that previous adopters or employees or volunteers are eager to adopt too. So it's been really interesting to almost not have enough animals. Having said that, the animals we're receiving, because the healthy and friendly, those animals that aren't behaviorally or medically challenged are being obtained before they come to the shelter. So either through social media or ads or whatever, they aren't meeting the shelter, they aren't coming to the shelter. Unfortunately, what we're seeing are those that are really pretty severely behaviorally or medically challenged. So this is really a kind of a appreciation or testament to this grant, because our veterinarian and our tech team have been extraordinarily busy through the COVID.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Allen.
Oh, thank you. Forgot I had raised my hand. So Pam, this money is being used, these grants are being used for salaries, it sounds like.
That's
for
right.
people, for increased hours or for new position. Is that something you've done? Is this an annual thing you do, or is this just a stroke of luck that you found a grant that could pay for operational things like this?
It's been annual. The Foundation for TJO Animals is operated by a board of directors, and really while they have a role of advocacy, they're almost strictly fundraising in nature, and their mission is to help support the medical and behavior health of the animals so that they can be adopted, so that they can return to their homes. So this has been, the only thing that's new here is our 32-hour second vet tech position that was approved last year, but the foundation has been carrying these, the vet tech 1 and the veterinarian for many years, probably 8+ years.
Okay, so these are all the money's coming from the TJO Foundation.
That's right.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. Any other questions or comments on this item or these items? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on accepting grant agenda items 4 through 6? Madam Clerk?
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. On accepting grants 4 through 6, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes. All right, items 4 through 6. Accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call grant items number 7 through 9?
Item 7, Health Resources and Action Grant. Number 8, Massachusetts Bicycle Coalition Grant. And number 9 is a donation of goods, a police vehicle.
All right, and if there's no discussion on these items, I would ask for the Madam Clerk to please call the roll.
On accepting grant 7 through 9.
Mr. President,
Yes.
my apologies.
Councilor Davila?
Thank you. I couldn't get to my hand in time.
Yes. No
Just
worries.
wondering, can we, do we know the source of the donation for the police vehicle?
All right. Thank you, Councilor Davila. Is there anyone here to speak to item number 9?
I don't have to.
Yeah, I'm just in regards to the question that Councilor Davila asked. All right, seeing Davila, Councilor Davila, there is no.
Mr. President, I'm here.
Oh, TJ, please, yes.
Yep, sorry. TJ Flagg, capital of the city of Springfield. The police vehicle donation comes from the National Insurance Crime Bureau. It's to help the police department minimize or try to have some impact on stolen vehicles.
Excellent. Thank you, Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, Madam Clerk, please call on the roll on accepting items 7 through 9.
On accepting grant 7 through 9. Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes. Items accepted. At this time, to address items 10 and 11, I am going to be joining the body and giving the chairmanship to Madam Vice President, Councilor Tracy Whitfield, to chair the remainder of the meeting. So at this time, I will relinquish the chair to Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you. I'm honored to be serving in this capacity for the first time as the chair and as vice president of the city council. So, oh my goodness, I don't have the order in front of me. It's item 10. Madam Clerk, can you please read item 10?
Item 10 is the 2021 City Council Rules and Orders.
Is there any discussion on the rules and orders? Mr. President?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What I will do, since the councilors have these items already on record, I'll just speak to the gist of what the intention is behind them. So the amendment to Rule 3 is simply to be consistent with the ordinance change that will come after this, to change the current meeting time from 6:30 to 7 o'clock. So again, amendment to Rule 3 is to change that to be 7 p.m. moving forward for 2021. Regards to Amendment Rule 10B, the idea here is just to allot counselors more opportunities to speak on issues. And, I've referenced, rebuttals and also your name being invoked by another counselor, which you should probably deserve another opportunity to respond to that. But also limit how long counselors speak for each opportunity for hopefully sharper and more concise exchanges. So again, it's the 3-2 compared to the 2-5, which I think, and if you really count 2 minutes on a clock, I think that's more than enough time for folks to really share what's on their mind in regards to whatever the topic at hand is at that time. Now, obviously, the counselors are introducing things. So this is, of course, you would have the floor to introduce legislation or things of that general nature, which might take more time than that, quite naturally. And then the amendment to Rule 43, the idea here is really just encouraging evening meetings, but not making them mandatory as they currently are right now, as morning and afternoon subcommittee meetings definitely occur. And also to strike the notion that counselors should submit a schedule when schedules are certainly bound to change after, of course, the appointments that were just made to the subcommittees. So it's not certainly realistic to provide advanced glimpse of what day you're going to have each meeting as issues throughout the city change at any one time. So to remove the penalty attributed to posting schedules. So it left the discretion to the chair to remove a counselor for not posting the schedule. Well, instead, I think it makes way more sense to attribute the penalty of removal for just not meeting as needed on issues of this relative to the chairperson's committee. And I just that's really standard and should be consistent throughout. So those are the 3 amendments. And before I make a motion on those, I also just want to add, if I can, if the counselors would just indulge me for a few more moments, on just some added suggestions that are not, of course, going to be rules, but just merely suggestions. And one of those suggestions is, if you can just give me one chance, moment here, please. All right, just regarding public speak out, simply add a note here that it would be appreciated if counselors can make their best effort to attend public speak outs. As folks, especially when we're in the chambers, have come down and mustered up the courage to address us and to share what's on their mind. I think the least we can do is just be present, and certainly understanding that it's not practical for all members to be present at any one session. I think that we can aim to have the majority of the council. That would be ideal. So just again, merely a suggestion. The second suggestion I have is regarding matters which involve, of course, department heads and staff, which I've spoken to. And I think that out of both courtesy and respect for those we work closely with across city departments, I just would be appreciated if counselors can honor requests from heads and city staff to move up in the agenda if need be. I know some department heads certainly reach out in advance if they have conflicting priorities. So, I just think that without objection, we should perform that diligence, which would be great. And just the last suggestion, and I just want to give Councilor Walsh credit for this. It involves resolutions. And it would be great if we could, instead of sharing resolutions, which are often shared by our clerks in advance of meetings, and given that I, and I'm sure my colleagues read those in advance, if we can just maybe pull an excerpt from the resolution summarizing the intent and maybe just some historical significance or facts, instead of reading the entire resolution into record, that might save some time as well, when especially there's several resolutions sometimes that are being presented by counselors at any one point in time. So again, those are just merely suggestions, not anything related to invoking a new rule per se. Thank you for listening. And I at this time, I will just call for a motion to accept those changed 3 amendments at this time.
Thank you. I see your hand, Councilor Walsh, for the discussion on the motion, please. Okay. And you're muted, Counselor. Oops, I'm sorry, Counselor Allen. I put your hand down by mistake.
There we go.
You put it back up.
Council President Williams, off to a very good start. I think it's a good idea to tighten up the meetings and to be more professional in our presentation, not only to our other colleagues, but also to the viewing audience. I think they're all great suggestions, except I like the time of 6:30. I will not be supporting that particular proposal. You know, I have noticed coming down to meetings that there are always a lot of people who are going to speak or be honored at the council meetings that are waiting in the hallway for a long time before we actually start the meeting. So I think the 6:30 time slot is more convenient for our constituents. And a great point that you brought up about department heads, you know, and it has always been, and in the past, it was a courtesy to take department heads first. I don't know what happened to that, but I think it's a great idea to go back to it. And also, if a department head has multiple things on the agenda, that we take them all at the same time. So other than that first suggestion, I'm with you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Yeah, Counselor Hurst.
Thank you, Madam President. I concur with Councilor Walsh. I don't know if we can take these rules separately. Hopefully we don't have to vote on all of the changes at the same time. I agree with all of the rules except for the time change. I have a tough time with that one because I do remember times in which we would look out into the audience and you'd have young people who were attending the meetings and who were looking to listen in on a certain issue. Oftentimes they would be resolutions which are far down the agenda. And by the time we would get to the resolution, they would be sleeping. And so I know it's also difficult for our seniors, especially in the wintertime, coming down to the meetings when it's dark out. And I just think an earlier meeting, considering how long they've been going, might make more sense. We were averaging probably about 2.5 to 3 hours. I am hopeful, Councilor Williams, that you are able to streamline that so that we can get out a bit earlier. But they already are running long. And so I can only imagine what time we might get out if we do start at 7 o'clock. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Counselor, I'm going to follow your rule, Councilor President Williams, and let Councilor Letterman speak since he hasn't spoken already, if that's okay with you. Okay, thank you.
I will gladly yield to the president, Madam President.
All right. Councilor Williams.
Thank you,
Council President, Mr. President, I don't know what to call you right now, but Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Councilor Letterman. I just know I certainly hear Councilor Walsh and Councilor Hurst, and I just think, I have perhaps maybe a unique perspective as someone who has a more typical and standard 9-to-5 position, and I know that sometimes coming from early, and I know maybe for others who also have that schedule, you want to certainly after work have a chance to have dinner, and I know, an hour from the start of public speak out, which, this during current kind of rule would be 6 p.m. That's, an hour sometimes it's just not enough time. Again, I won't die if it's 6:30. Certainly, I just wanted to, I appreciated the 7 o'clock when it was there, just as a working person.
Councilor Letterman. Thank you, Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I simply just wanted to speak in support of the president's proposed change back to 7 o'clock. I supported the change to 6:30 when we did it, I think, 2 years ago, and I heard the intent behind it at that time, but I'd call two things into perspective on that. The first is I don't know that it's particularly led to us getting out particularly early compared to before. I think we just continue to run on. But secondly, I found an issue with it in terms of the fact that the schedule for our meetings comes out on Thursdays. And if you want to call a committee meeting on an item that perhaps you didn't anticipate that item coming on, the only time you really could call that meeting would be for Monday. And so that can lead to an issue if you're going to have a 6:30 start time that, if you want to do a 5 o'clock subcommittee or a 4:30 subcommittee, it can just lead to less time to be briefed on particularly in-depth issues in that committee setting. And then I would also echo the president's comments for individuals who are working in a position where, they do need to be present until 5 or 5:30. It can just, again, lead to less time to be able to prepare for that 7 o'clock. So those are my thoughts. I concur with the president. If it is 6:30, that's okay too. But I think 7 o'clock functionally works better, in my opinion.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I concur with the president that it would be nice to streamline the meetings. They have been going a little too long sometimes. I will admit to you, I sometimes I want to get it done as quickly as possible. With that being said, so it is my hope, Mr. President, that you could do so. I hope that we can take these rules individually as opposed as a one package. And that is because with regards to Rule 3, the 7 o'clock starting time is very appealing to me. And all the arguments that have been made make sense to me. However, the way I'm looking at this, in my humble opinion, is that the 6:30 time will be easier for the residents of the city of Springfield. And although I would love to get out as quickly as possible, I think that at least myself, as a councilor for Ward 6, I need to think that we need to make it as easy as possible for the resident to attend our meetings. So that I'm inclined to 6:30 right now, keep as it is, just because I think it will be more beneficial to the residents to attend. With regards to Rule 10B, Madam President, if I may, I was a little confused with the explanation that the president gave. It's 3 times 2 minutes, and you only get to speak on one issue after everybody has spoken. You get to speak again. But what if if your name is invoked? You have the prerogative to rebut. Does that count against you in those particular cases?
I'm gonna let President Williams answer that as it's his amendment and his thoughts. Can you please reply to the question?
Sure. Thank you, Madam. The thought behind that, Councilor Davila, was just it was just a reference to an example of councilor might need an opportunity to speak. Therefore, again, a rebuttal might be one of those examples. Another example might be if your name is invoked in something and you want to respond to what a previous councilor had said. So those were just examples used. So those, what you had mentioned is not necessarily, I don't think, the rule itself, but I was merely mentioning those things as examples.
Right, but so that I'm clear, then, if I exercise my right to rebut, that would not count against me.
No, that's
okay.
the time you've spoken. Yes, that's the time you have spoken. So 3 opportunities per item. Yes.
Not counting the rebuttal.
Including the rebuttal.
Also, it will count against me.
Yes, but it was more opportunities than previous time.
Okay. I see, and I see what you're trying to do. I think it makes sense. Again, I think it goes with the line of streamlining the meetings. I'm a little torn with that. The exchange of ideas take time, and believe me, I know I want to get out. As all of us, I believe that's what I'm gathering from this meeting. We want to streamline them, make them shorter, but the exchange of idea takes time, and I think we need robust time to debate. Although I like that we got more opportunity, I will encourage the body to think about not having rebuttal count against you, because I think it's just diminishing the debate, the opportunity to debate. Those are my thoughts. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome.
I just want to say I support the President Williams's proposed changes to the rules. In response to Councilor Davila's comments, Personally, in my experience, 3 times should be more than enough to speak on an issue, including any rebuttals that you may have. I don't think that this is necessarily a question of getting us out earlier. I think it's a question of making us more efficient and more thoughtful about the comments that we're making. And so I support that change. With respect to the time of the meeting, I just want to highlight that when I first got on the council, the meeting started at 7:30, and then we went down to 7, and then down to 6:30. And I supported all of those changes. And there were different reasons to do each one of them along the way. As I understand it, the reason for this change is to make accommodations both for people's schedules and to acknowledge the fact that we haven't really been working smarter by moving the meetings earlier. We've just been working longer. And so I would support a change back to the later hour. And I think that, to Councilor Letterman's point, it will also allow for additional time for committee meetings to be held, which in my experience, despite the best intentions of the rule change when it was made a few years ago, committee meetings that happened before the regular meeting have felt a little bit more rushed. And so for that reason, I would support the rule changes presented by the president. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Allen?
Thanks, Madam President. I have a comment on a different part of this. Can I make that comment now? Or?
Is it regarding the motion? That's
Well,
on the floor?
it's regarding the department head part. Is that okay to talk about that?
I think it was mentioned, so let's go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, so President Williams, with your attempt to get all the department head stuff done at once, I'm taken with that one a little bit. For instance, tonight, we had 3 department heads go right away. They were all grants, logical that department heads would be presenting grants. And we had Chris Signoli, and then Helen, and then Pam. And I'm wondering, say there was the private ways ordinance on tonight, which was something we've talked about for a while that would involve Chris. Would we take that at that point in the middle of grants, where we'd say we want to get Chris out, so we take Chris's grants and then we go take the ordinance that he's involved in? How would that work? Because that, I think one of the things that I've been sensitive about over time, and you guys have seen me object to moving things around the agenda, because I think what we do is important. And when we just move things around the agenda, it takes us off our focus off what we're doing. At least in the past it did. I'm not saying that is a recent thing, but there were times when we were bouncing around the agenda and I felt like, you know, it wasn't really our agenda and our work wasn't being taken as seriously as it should. And then I started objecting to moving things around, and did that for years. And I probably even objected to a department head thing once in a while, but I'm not trying to say that that's a bad idea. I'm just trying to understand, if there was a ordinance tonight that would have involved Chris, would we have taken that at that time and then go back to Helen, or how would that work?
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Williams, can you please respond?
Sure. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Councilor Allen, for that question. No, Councilor Allen, I certainly see your point. I think that's exactly why I did not move to make it an official rule, because there is a lot of so my gesture on that was to we've received you know, sometimes when department heads have conflicting priorities, they send advance notice, you know, asking to be moved up in the agenda, and sometimes that is not always honored. And I think under those circumstances, I think they deserve the courtesy and respect just to allow that, if they are asking, you know, certainly giving the impression that, you know, they the conflicting priority, which would need them to finish their item a little faster. Of course, I think it's Rule 3, if I'm not mistaken, where it lists the order of agendas, and we certainly would follow that as we would the layout of any when Attorney Davis is laying out the agenda. But it's just really referencing those unique circumstances where, you know, where things need to be moved, or someone asks for things to be moved up, especially.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can we please call each amendment individually on the motion? To approve the orders, the amendments to the order?
So I will call each amendment separately. The first amendment would be Rule 3, and the amendment reads, "A public speak out time shall be scheduled at 6:30 p.m. prior to all regularly scheduled meetings of the City Council. A majority of members of the City Council shall attend public speak out."
I'm sorry, I seen Councilor Ramos' hand up really quickly. I don't know if you had something to add, Councilor?
Yeah, just I didn't hear anyone second the motion.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Fenton. Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Okay, now all that stuff that was said before, right? The clerk.
Okay, so the first amendment to the rules was Rule 3 regarding public speak out time shall be scheduled at 6:30 p.m. and a majority of members of the City Council shall attend public speak out. So the vote is being taken on amending. The motion is to amend Rule number 3, which was seconded by Councilor Fenton. On amending Rule 3, Councilor Edwards.
I'm sorry, there's a couple of hands up, so
Okay.
something must not be right. Councilor Ramos first, and then Councilor Hurst.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an issue with the way that this is written. We're taking the vote separately, and so we're not able to decide whether or not we want to have public speak out at 6:30 until we decide what time the meeting is going to be. And so I would ask Councilor Williams if he would amend the motion to read perhaps 30 minutes prior to the regular meeting. That might make more sense.
And the public speak out meeting, 30 minutes prior to both.
So the public speak out would take place 30 minutes prior to the regular meeting.
Okay. And Councilor Williams, do you feel comfortable amending that?
Yes. So moved.
Okay, thank you. Who said so moved?
I did, Madam President.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Councilor Fenton. So Madam Clerk, did you get those amendment changes?
I did. So the amendment would read, "A public speak out time shall be scheduled for 30 minutes prior to all regularly scheduled meetings of the City Council, and a majority of members of the City Council shall attend public speak out." That's the amendment. This is the vote for that amendment alone. Councilor Edwards.
I'm sorry, Councilor Hurst still had his hand up. Was it supposed to be lowered before, or is this on the motion?
No, this is on the motion. I apologize. Why did we change it again to the majority of the members of the council should be present? And what was that changed from? With respect to public speak out?
Give me one. Sorry.
Is it okay if I answer, Councilor Williams?
Yes, please, Attorney Davis.
The prior version read, "All members of the City Council shall attend public speak out."
So I'm going to push back just a little bit. I think that all members shall and should attend public speak out. And so I would not be in favor of saying the majority of members should attend public speak out. I think it's our obligation to attend. And I think we should have the expectation that all of us should attend, even if we might happen to miss a public speak out or two. I think one of the most frustrating things as president is, like you said, Councilor Williams or Mr. President, is when you don't have people present for somebody who is coming before them to speak out. So I would be against the majority in that sense.
So
Thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Madam President.
Sure.
So we could break Rule 3 up into 2 amendments, so it takes 2 votes. We can have the first amendment, which is the 30 minutes prior to regularly scheduled meetings. We can vote on that. And then Councilor Williams can make a second amendment to read what he'd like: "A majority of members of the City Council shall attend," if everyone's okay with that.
Sounds good.
Yes, I'm fine with that. Okay,
Thank you.
so we're going to call the First Amendment 3A. And that will address which one, Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk.
That will address the time change, the 30 minutes prior to all regularly scheduled meetings.
Okay, and so we're gonna start with that one. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the approving the time change for item 3, amendment?
On the amendment number 1, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield.
No.
No. Counselor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams.
Yes.
The item is approved. On the next amendment, Madam Clerk, please. I want you to explain the item and then call the roll again.
So I need a motion to amend Rule 3 to read a majority of members of the City Council. And I would need a second to that motion.
Can I have a motion, please? Counselor Williams? Counselor Williams, your hand's up first.
I can certainly Counselor Hurst's amendment change. So therefore, so moved in regards to what he said that all members of the City Council shall attend public speak up.
So you think it should remain as it is?
No, I said I can amend to his change. So I'm making the motion that it should be all instead of a majority.
Doesn't it say all now? Currently?
It does, but it's been, you are voting on the amendment as it was presented to you. So it was presented to you as a majority, so we're changing it back to all members. So I still need that motion.
But we never voted on that part because we broke it up in 2. We never voted on the majority part. Because remember, we said we were just gonna vote on the time change part, and then we said we're gonna vote on the change from all to majority. We never voted on the change from all to majority. So do we have to do that now? Because we never voted on it.
We do, because as it's presented to you, the order is for it to be a majority of members as presented in the agenda. Because it's being changed, I would prefer the motion be to change it back, just to be clear.
All right, let's do it. So do we have a motion?
Motion moved. So moved.
Thank you, Counselor Williams, in a second.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Counselor Williams, second by Counselor Davila. Madam Clerk, on the motion, on the amendment?
On the second amendment to Rule 3, to read all members of the City Council shall attend public speak out, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Motion approved. So we need a motion on 10B, right? Is that the time limit? Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I can read the rule to you and then I need a motion to change it. So the change would be no member shall speak more than 3 times on the same question or more than once until others choosing to speak shall have spoken for more than 2 minutes at each time. Previously, no member shall speak twice on the same question or for more than 5 minutes at each time.
Do we have a motion? Counselor Williams?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make the motion to change the language on 10B to reflect 3 times per each opportunity at a time of 2 minutes apiece.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Counselor Williams, seconded by Counselor Walsh. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the motion?
On amending Rule 10B, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Motion approved. Okay, and there's one more motion, 43, to streamline the meetings. Can you read that one, Madam Clerk?
One moment.
43.
Okay, so Rule 43. The change reads, it's a long paragraph, so please just bear with me. Only the chairperson of each committee may call special meetings in order to deal with matters referred to it by the city council. Copies of the agenda and committee report shall be given to the clerk for distribution to the city council. Committees shall schedule evening meetings when possible is being added in the appropriate neighborhood relative to zone changes, special permits, or other issues of particular neighborhood concern which have been formally referred. Each committee shall meet once a month during the legislative year. The president of the city council may remove any chairman from his or her post for failure to meet regularly on issues in either standing or special committees of the city council. What's being removed from the paragraph is upon his or her appointment, the chairperson of each committee shall present to the city clerk a schedule of proposed meeting dates for the legislative year.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, do we have a motion? Counselor Williams?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to reflect the change in Rule 43 as stated by the clerk.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Counselor Williams, seconded by Counselor Walsh. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the motion?
On amending Rule number 43, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is approved. Madam Clerk, is there any further business before the council?
So the next item on the agenda is item 11, entitled regular meetings.
Is there anyone to speak to the item?
Madam President, on the previous item,
Yes.
are we able to discuss other amendments to the rules and orders?
Madam Clerk, can you answer that?
Yes, Counselor.
We are able to?
Yes.
Okay. Counselor Ramos, yes.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to propose an amendment to our rules, City Council rules and orders relative to Rule 18. There's a provision in paragraph 3, Rule 18, which refers to recall of committee referrals, in which after 30 days, a matter that is referred to committee that is not reported upon, any member may recall such matter of a committee. I have a little bit of an issue with this being part of our rules and regulations. The previous paragraph already allows for 5 members of the City Council to pull essentially an item out of committee. And so I don't see the need for there to be anything further than that. And you know, I think that any committee chairperson could appreciate the fact that if he or she is addressing an item in committee, they want to be able to have appropriate time and leeway to be able to address it thoroughly. And it defeats the purpose of sending an item to committee, and it defeats the purpose of having paragraph number 2 if any one member of the City Council can pull an item out of the committee. And so my motion, Madam President, will be to strike paragraph 3 from Rule 18. Again, being that paragraph 2 of Rule 18 already allows a way for members to pull an item out of committee. I don't believe that paragraph 3 is necessary.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Counselor Allen?
Thanks, Madam President. Counselor Ramos, if I'm reading those rules, paragraph 2 requires 5 people to pull it out. Paragraph 3 requires 1 person to pull it out. So that to me is a difference. How do you equate those as being the same thing?
Counselor Ramos?
Thank you, Madam President. I don't equate them as being the same. I was referring to the fact that there is already a way for the City Council members who are not part of a committee to pull an item out of committee if it's not reported on. To have 5 members of the City Council have the authority to pull an item out of committee, I think would suffice. And I don't see it necessary for there to be a paragraph that allows any one counselor to pull an item out of committee.
Okay, I understand your point of view. I don't agree with it, but I understand it and appreciate your thought on it.
Thank you both, Counselor Ramos and Counselor Allen. Counselor Fenton?
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the motion, Counselor Ramos. I am opposed to it. I think the most glaring example of where it would create a problem is when a sponsor's item is caught in committee, and if it's sent to committee, could not be brought out without 5 members. It only takes 1 member of the City Council to introduce a new matter. And I think in order to encourage dialogue in committee, we should not create such a disincentive to sending matters there by requiring 5 votes to take it out. I think that would have a chilling effect, if you will, on incentives to sending matters to committee where a lot of matters appropriately belong. And one long held pillar of the council's procedure has been that after a certain amount of time, and it is an extensive amount of time, as you can see in the rules, if the committee chair does not report back out on that, any one member, most particularly the sponsor, could pull that matter back out. So I would be opposed to the rule change for that reason. And I have a rule change of my own, Madam Chair, but I'll raise my hand later for that.
Thank you, Counselor Fenton. Counselor Davila?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question perhaps to the clerk regarding this Rule 18. It says here, in all of them, it says, just give me a quick second. A matter referred to a committee is not reported upon. It may be recalled by a standing vote of so many members. My question is, when the key word being not reported upon. If a counselor states that there's no action, does that count as a report?
Counselor Davila, that's actually not a question for myself. That would be up to the council to determine if stating that there's been no action is actually reporting on the item.
Great, thank you, Clerk. The reason I ask is because I think that the last thing that I think we want to see, and I know this is not the intent of Councilor Ramos' motion, is to hijack an item in committee. And so to me, that word not reported upon, to me, that's the way I read it, will keep the issue alive in committee. So maybe, I don't know if any of my esteemed colleagues would like to sort of jump in on that, or even Councilor Ramos has any thought on it.
Councilor Ramos, do you have any thought on that?
Not on that specifically, Madam President. I do have some additional comments that I would like to make and perhaps propose a compromise to my motion. But I'll do that at the appropriate time. I'll let the other counselors speak.
Sure. Councilor Walsh? I'm sorry,
Yes,
Councilor. We don't have a clear answer for you right now. I think it's subject to interpretation. But I'm going to, maybe more conversation will clarify it for all of us. Thank you. Councilor Walsh?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious about how this motion might impact the responsibility of the authority of the chair. And what if the chair of the committee is opposed to have the matter taken out of committee? Is there going to be any consideration given to the chair of that particular committee, since they will be holding the meetings and proposing the meetings? And that's a question.
Madam Clerk, do we have an answer for Councilor Walsh or Councilor Ramos?
So I'm sorry, this is Attorney Davis. Going strictly by the rules, it would be technically impacting the authority of the chair, as the member on the floor would be calling it out of committee, whether the chair objected or not.
I think the chairman of the committee should have a say in items in their committee and when they're brought out, maybe just as a courtesy, maybe not as a rule change.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Ramos, your hand was before Councilor Letterman, but do you mind if he spoke?
Sure.
Thank you. Councilor Letterman?
Thank you, Madam President. Just to the point of Councilor Davila's question, which I think is relevant to the motion and is probably a good thing for us to talk about for a moment, in terms of what a report is. And if you look further in the rules, Rule 46 and Rule 47, they refer to Rule 46 committee reports and Rule 47 written reports being required, which we generally, I think, waive as a matter of practice. And the rules allow us to do that. But Rule 47 does say it shall be the duty of every committee of the City Council and every board, commission, committee, and department head of the city to whom any subject may be specially referred to report in writing within 4 weeks, or unless otherwise specified, or unless additional time is granted by the council, a written report may be waived by a majority of the council in a sitting. Usually at the beginning of meetings, we give verbal reports, but theoretically you could interpret that rule, in my opinion, to say that, you know, if a matter is referred to your committee, you really are sort of required to bring a report within 4 weeks or 30 days. So I guess it plays into Councilor Ramos's motion in that, you know, this would, I think that's the original intent of the rule that is in place, which says if after 30 days you haven't taken your responsibility as a chair and made the report to the committee, that the committee could, the sponsor or any counselor could recall it. I think that's the original intent of it. And the one thing I would say is, I agree with Councilor Walsh and Councilor Ramos that chairs should be able to hold their committee meetings at, you know, at an appropriate time and do the work of the committee. But I also would hate to, I don't want to set us up in a scenario where we would be in a position where somebody could hold a piece of legislation for longer than necessary. I think we've seen those types of procedural issues play out in committees much larger than ours in the US Senate and things like that. And I think there should be an incentive for us as a body to get the work done when something is referred to, which historically we have. So I think that's just something to consider.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Ramos?
2 points I want to make, Madam President. The first one is going back to what Councilor Walsh mentioned in terms of that is exactly the reason why I'm proposing this rule changes, because the chairperson of a committee should have enough time and it's a person that should have the authority to say when a matter is ready to come out of his or her committee. Otherwise, everyone, all 13 councilors become the chairperson of that committee if they can pull it out of committee at any time. So that's one of the reasons why I am proposing this rule. So thank you for bringing that up, Councilor Walsh. The second thing I want to mention is, as a if councilors are hesitant to eliminate this paragraph completely, I would propose the idea of extending the 30 days to 90 days. And that way, that would address the issue of, having, as Councilor Fenton mentioned, a sponsor of a piece of legislation to be able to pull it out of committee after 90 days, if he or her chooses to do so. So it would still remain, but it would extend the deadline so that the chairperson of the committee would have more time to be able to work with the legislation. If that's something that councilors are more open to, then I will amend my motion to state amending that paragraph to 90 days.
Thank you. Councilor Davila?
My apologies, I was muted. Thank you, Madam Chair. To Councilor Ramos' point, I think that he's onto something here. I am a little hesitant to eliminate paragraph 3 of Rule 18. It is appealing to me extending the time just to give a little more leeway to the chairman if so chooses that he may need more time. I think 90 days perhaps is a little too long, so I would just suggest, if Councilor Ramos is amicable to it, 60 days as opposed to 90.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Curran?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that I do think that Councilor Ramos's amendment does have some merit. I would assume that the chairpersons do have some kind of expertise within those issues, perhaps that they're studying more than other councilors. And I guess the question really is, do you want stronger chairs, or basically anyone can pull an issue out of the committee? I would respectfully suggest maybe make it 3 members instead of 5 to pull an issue out of committee. I do think Councilor Ramos has a pretty good point that you do want a situation where committee chairs do have some kind of influence, because that is the point of having a committee system in the first place. So perhaps we could, I'd like to hear Councilor Ramos's opinion of that. Maybe have 3 councilors instead of 5. But again, I think really the question is, do we want stronger chair people or chairpersons, or have a situation where any councilor can pull an issue out of committee? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. And I think the amendment that Councilor Ramos is proposing has 1 member pulling a matter out of committee. And so did you want him to amend that one to 3 members?
If Councilor Ramos, maybe perhaps you can give your opinion rather than, I think if I am correct, if I'm not confused here, Councilor Ramos is suggesting that there should be 5 city councilors to vote to pull something out of committee. I'm suggesting perhaps make that 3 instead of.
I think he was striking altogether at first, and then he proposed to amend the 30 days to 90 days. And it's kind of the 3rd bullet on the recall.
Understood. I guess my suggestion, Madam President, would be to have 3 councilors to be able to pull out of committee. And if Councilor Ramos is inclined to comment, I'd certainly like to hear his opinion,
Thank you, Councilor
or
Curran.
anyone else's as well.
Sure, Councilor Ramos, please.
Yeah, so I'm open to that as well. That would be, I believe that would be an amendment to paragraph 2, which currently allows 5 members of the city council to pull an item out of committee after 15 days. And so
Okay.
I think what Councilor Curran is suggesting is that we amend that to 3 days. I'm sorry, to 3 members rather than 5 members. However, that would still leave paragraph 3, which allows any single 1 member to pull an item out of committee after 30 days. So my suggestion is to amend that to 90 days. I appreciate Councilor Davila's point, I guess offer of 60 days. But if you look at paragraph 4 says that after 120 days, a matter is deemed dead. So I just think that, you know, if after 90 days an issue is not resolved in committee, then that should be plenty of time to decide whether or not somebody wants to take it out of committee. And any member should, yeah, I mean, if any member wants to pull it out of committee after 90 days, I'm okay with that amendment.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Ramos. Councilor Allen or Davila, I don't know which one was first.
He can go first.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I was gonna yield to you, Councilor Allen. But do you want to go first, Councilor Allen?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, I yield to you, sir.
Councilor Allen, please.
We're being so polite. No, I yield to you.
No. Councilor
People before politics. That's what our president said.
Right.
I am concerned about a situation where someone may raise an issue and where that issue may end up in committee. That person that raised it may or may not be in that committee. And if the chair of that committee is against the issue, there needs to be some recourse to keep that chair from just locking the thing up in committee. And I think while it's weird to have the one person be able to bring it out, I still think there's a good reason for it. So because otherwise someone could just lock it up there for a while with no recourse. So and to have to go get 3 members or 5 members. I think Councilor Fenton said before, you know, we have the power to bring things up ourselves. You know, new ordinances, whatever, all the business of the council is can be brought up ourselves. So why do we make it hard when somebody has brought it up and it's gone to committee to try to move it if it's being locked up by the chair of that committee? I think power to the people in that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a clarifying question for, I've got 2 questions. One clarifying question regarding Councilor Curran's suggestion. Was he trying to say in section 2, after 15 days, a matter referred to committee is not reported upon, it may be recalled by 3 members of the council? Or does he want to change section 3 that after 30 days, it might be recalled by, instead of 3 members of the council?
Yes, I was a little confused on that too, because he said on the motion that Councilor Ramos brought forward. So Councilor Curran, I just really want to work on this motion though. I just want to move forward with what Councilor Ramos suggested. And then if there's another motion later that Curran wants to bring forward, then he can bring it forward after
sounds,
settle Councilor Ramos' motion.
that sounds fair. So then I will look back to that later, but Madam Chair, Madam President, regarding the section 3, the 90 days, I just suggest to Councilor Ramos, what if we meet halfway, split the difference of 30 days? So it will be 75 days. 120 days is a little too close for me for a matter to be dead in committee. And again, I know this is not the intent of the motion, but I would hate to see a situation where something gets hijacked.
Well, it doesn't die in committee until 120 days. And I think that unless Councilor Ramos wants to change it, I think he was pretty.
It's a question for him.
Okay,
Yep.
Councilor Ramos.
If it will be amicable to 75 days.
To do 75 days instead of the 60. And then if not, Counselor Davila, we're gonna move forward with the motion as presented.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Madam President, in the spirit of compromise, I am willing to compromise at 75 days. I don't think it should be 30 days. I don't think 60 days will make a difference. I'm willing to go 75 days. I'm also open to Councilor Curran's suggestion to amend it to 3 councilors rather than 1. But again, that depends on what the rest of my colleagues think. And so I'll move forward with my motion. I'll amend it to say 75 days. And then if Councilor Curran wants to make a further amendment to change it from 1 councilor to 3 councilors, to amend paragraph 3 to read that 3 councilors rather than 1, I would certainly support that motion as well. So I'll make a motion to amend it to 75 days, paragraph 3.
Are you making the amendment to change it to 75 days and to change it to 3 members? Because if not, we're going to let Councilor Curran make that motion and move the discussion forward.
I'll let Councilor Curran make that amendment and I will support it.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Hurst.
Yeah, this is Councilor Curran, Madam Chair.
We're gonna circle back to you on that, on your motion. We're gonna take the motion separately. Councilor Ramos is making the motion to change the days from 30 to 75 in that paragraph. And then when this motion is settled, we'll move on to your motion. Councilor Hurst.
I think the days are irrelevant if we don't know what reported on is going to be defined as.
Yeah. Do you have a suggestion, Councilor Hurst, or anything, or do we discuss that further, or do we go on the motion?
I think you have to have some sort of agreement as to what reported on looks like. If I can come before the city council as the chair and give a report of committee and say, I thought about meeting on this item and chose not to, is that an official report for that chair? And, thereby not allowing someone to pull it out. What does that look like? I think that conversation has to be had. I hate to belabor the issue, but it's hard for me to vote on this if I don't know what a report looks like.
Thank you. Councilor Letterman.
Yes, thank you. I was going to make the same exact point. And I think that the question with that also relative to the report is this rule has previously been invoked. And it has been invoked because a meeting didn't occur or it wasn't referred back. And so I think that also is a question about the intent. Is if I have a committee and we have an ordinance in it and my committee is actively meeting on it, but it has been 35 days, but we're still meeting on it, we have not voted to send it back, and I report that, does that mean it stays in committee? Again, we've utilized this before, but I don't know that we had a full understanding of that. With that said, I'm actually opposed to any changes to this rule. For anyone that's counting votes, I'm going to vote no on all changes to this rule. But I do think that we should address the report issue.
What is your suggestion, Councilor Letterman? Oh, you're not changing it at all. So do you have a definition of reported on?
I think that the intent of, I wasn't present when this rule was written, but I think I would interpret the intent of the rule to be that a report is that a meeting has occurred and a report has been given to the council as to the status of the ordinance in committee.
On the motion, is there any further discussion? Councilor Walsh. You're muted, Councilor.
When we did some of the rule changes in the past, the suggestion was, or the rule was, that a committee report a written report would be given on any vote taken in a committee, so that you would have the committee meeting and then you would have the vote of the committee, and that would generate the report. And not to add fuel to the fire, but there's always an exception. Of course, this year is exceptional but it took all of us who worked so hard on the Brave Act a year to pass it. So there are going to be, whatever the rule is, there are going to be exceptions to the rule.
True. Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief. Very good point that Councilor Hurst brought up, which I had pointed out before. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to my colleagues that this may sound naive to me, to some, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. That if, to me, a proper report will be that they did meet on the issue and they're still working on it. To me, that constitutes a report. Yes, I agree that the chairman do need more times from time to time to work on their respective committees. So just addressing the point of what a report constitutes. So that's my humble opinion, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, is there a second to the motion? Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief. Just in regards to, I guess, what is described as a report, to Councilor Walsh's point, I know there might have been a time prior to, I don't know when the roles and responsibilities for our clerks might have changed or whatever, but they typically keep the notes for our subcommittee. And I know, that's typically what folks use for information on what had happened outside of what is presented, to the full body. So while I certainly agree with Councilor Hurst's point that needs to be described before I almost feel comfortable voting on anything, we also need to realize the impact that might be that either that has on the clerks or additional responsibilities that chairman would have to ensue as well.
Thank you, Council President Williams. Okay, is there any other discussion on the motion? Councilor Walsh.
It appears that there isn't a consensus on this. So is this something that maybe you might want to refer to a committee for further discussion, because there are other agenda items that we have? I don't get a sense that there's a clear cut consensus on what a meeting is and who can call it and uncall it. So I'll make a motion that maybe this should go to committee and report it back on.
Okay, so do we have to disregard the first motion, or we can just vote to send it to committee?
I would only be referring to issues that we haven't voted on yet.
We should dispose of the first motion.
Okay, resolve the first motion. We didn't get a second to the first motion. Is there a second to the motion that was made by Councilor Ramos? Okay, there was no second.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Gomez. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the motion to amend Rule 18, recall of committee referrals, paragraph 3, if after 75 days a matter referred to a committee is not reported upon, any member may recall such matter from the committee.
I'm sorry, Councilor Ramos, can you clarify that motion? Was it to completely remove paragraph 3, or did you want to change that to the 75 days?
75 days.
Okay, thank you. On amending rule number 18, paragraph 3 to read 75 days, Councilor Edwards.
No.
No. Councilor Letterman.
No.
No. Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen.
No.
No. Councilor Curran.
No.
No. Councilor Whitfield.
No.
No. Councilor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown.
No.
No. Councilor Walsh.
No.
No. Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton.
No.
No. Counselor Hurst?
No.
No. Counselor Williams?
No.
Motion fails. There was Counselor Fenton, or Counselor Curran. No, I think Counselor Fenton said first that he had another amendment to the rules.
Thank you. It's not related to this though. So if Counselor Kearns is related to this question about recalling matters for committee, I'd yield for him to go first.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor Fenton. Yeah, Madam Chair, I just opened a discussion on dovetailing onto what Counselor Walsh suggested. Again, Rule 18, Paragraph 3, if after 30 days the matter is referred to committee, it's not reported upon, any member may recall such a matter from the committee. I guess it's a question for the council. I mean, if you have it that way, it kind of diminishes the influence of the committee chair, and that's fine if that's the direction of the council. However, if you want committee chairs with a little bit more influence, I kind of think that 3 members of the city council, I don't think that's a major number with 13 councilors here, to recall a matter. And if it's a matter of some substance and of interest to the council, I don't think that's too much of a burden. I think if you do keep it to 1 council, although in the last year or so, I haven't seen the situation where 1 councilor has been pulling matters out of committee left, right, and center. But I'd like to hear a little discussion, maybe from my colleagues who've been on the council longer than I have. But would moving that up to 3 members to recall from the committee, would that be a positive change? I'd leave that open to the floor for some discussion.
Counselor Ramos?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilor Curran, for bringing that up. I think that's a great compromise. I think that would accomplish exactly what I was trying to accomplish with the previous motion, which is to give the chairperson a little bit more authority as chairman of a committee. And so I will certainly support this motion 100%.
Are there any other members that would like to comment on that?
Is there any, I don't even know if a motion was made yet. Are we just discussing something that's not on the agenda? Are we discussing?
Yeah, a motion, Madam President, has not been made. I was kind of wanted to hear the discussion of the councilors on their idea of having 3 members instead of 1 pull a matter from committee.
Okay, so we'll entertain like 1 or 2 more comments on it, and then if you want to make 3 more comments on it, and then if you want to make the motion.
Point of order.
Okay.
The counselor respectfully is out of order. If he wants discussion on the motion, a motion needs to be made.
Yes, to make the motion. Yes, that's what I'm.
Okay, then respectfully, I'll make the motion to amend Rule 18, Paragraph 3. If after 30 days, the matter is referred to committee, is not reported upon, three members, and that's the amendment, 3 members may recall such a matter from the committee.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Wait, on the motion, hold on. We got to discuss the motion. On the motion, Councilor Walsh.
I'm raising my hand to second it and to make some comments.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Walsh.
I very much appreciate Councilor Curran's statement about committee chairs. I think that the responsibility of so many things are the committee chair, and that we should strengthen the committee chair's role in these discussions. I mean, any counselor can talk to a committee chair or make suggestions and so forth and so on. So I like that discussion about what are we looking for? And I think we're looking for stronger chairs. So I'm going to support and the responsibility of the chair, because we all take our responsibility seriously. If there was a burning issue that a counselor had, I'm sure any committee chair would entertain it. So I'm going to support Councilor Curran in this and vote for his amendment, his motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I am on the opposite side in that thought. I think chairs have enough authority as it is. They set up meetings when they want. They control meetings. They control the agenda of the meetings. I think at some point, what do we gain from having strong chairs? I've been on 11 years. I've only seen this work in the opposite direction, where a chair wouldn't allow discussion on a particular topic, and it carried that for 6 months, where a person wanted a topic discussed and the chair just locked it up. And that went on for about 6 months, and I don't think that's healthy. I think after 30 days, there should be a meeting or two held in 30 days. And at that point, if the chair hasn't moved it along in a reasonable way, then giving a little power to a committee to bring it. All they're doing is bringing it back to the full committee, full council. They're not invoking it. They're not getting it passed. They're just bringing it back. And I'd say if it's going to prompt a dialogue between the chair and the person who doesn't like, who wishes it was moving faster, then great. Maybe they'll come up with some compromise between them. But I'm not sure what the point is of giving more power to the chairs. I don't understand what the reasoning is behind that. It might just be a philosophical difference between Sean and Catering and me, but it sounds good, but what does it mean? I want power to be shared, and the chair is the chair. They've already got, they already own the committee and the agenda and the timing of the meetings. So anyway, that's my thought.
Councilor Allen, Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Hurst.
Madam President, did you call me?
Yes.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't quite hear you. Yes, I'll be brief as possible on this one. I would like to remind my esteemed colleagues on this honorable body that we can always resend a matter back to committee if we pull it out of a subcommittee. Regarding the making chair stronger, I think that the way I'm looking at it, we want to give them some latitude to work with. And I get that point. However, in terms of making them stronger, I think that will be already been done according to the assessment that the president at the time has made and to who he's going to appoint to the chairmanships based upon his skills and fluency and not based upon politics. So I think hopefully that will be the case. So we will have strong chairs already coming into that respective committee. So I think having 3 councilors calling back something every 3 days is shifting powers, in my liking, too much to one side. So I'm kind of inclined to not support it at this time. Plus, I think to Councilor Letterman and Councilor Hurst's point, we still need to figure out collectively as a body what a proper report sounds like, or what a report is going to be before we consider anything being brought back to committee. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Hurst.
Yeah, I just was going to reiterate the point that I made earlier and the point that Councilor Davila just made. As long as there is ambiguity on reported on, then the chair still retains all of the power. And so if we're not going to resolve that issue tonight, it seems to me that in accordance with Councilor Walsh's suggestion, we probably should send this particular amendment to committee. But I repeat, if we don't have an agreement as to what reported upon is, then the chair can hold it up for as long as the chair pleases, and the chair will have the power to not bring it to the floor if he so or she so chooses.
Are you making a motion to send it to committee?
Is there a motion on the floor? I'm sorry, I don't.
Yes, there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I did make that motion
It was seconded.
a while back.
Yeah, you did make that motion too. I apologize. So I'm a little bit confused because I don't know if we have to resolve the motion that's on the floor, or do we send this to committee? Madam Clerk?
We have to resolve the motion that's on the floor unless Councilor Curran agrees that it be sent to committee.
Okay.
This is Councilor Kern. Yeah, I would make the motion, agree with Councilor Hurst. I would motion to send this to committee.
Thank you. Counselor Letterman, followed by Counselor Fenton on the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion, I agree that we should have a committee meeting on this rule about the reports. I'm just not sure that we can send an amendment to committee. I think we're voting right. The agenda item we're voting on is the rules and orders for 2021. Unless we're going to refer all the rules and orders to committee, I think it might be a more appropriate course of action to just ensure whatever committee chair who has rules under them, which I think might be general government, just calls a committee meeting on this matter.
Thank you, Counselor Letterman. Counselor Fenton.
Counselor Letterman said exactly what I was going to say. The only part of it that I would supplement is that we don't have rules for 2021 until we pass these. So I think that we should bear down and try to pass them tonight. If something's going to be sent to committee, it's got to be the whole item, not a motion. And if we're going to send the whole item to committee, what rules are we operating under in the meantime? Lastly, I oppose Counselor Curran's motion for the same reasons I stated about Counselor Ramos's motion. If there was a restriction on one member's ability to recall an item that is sent to committee after 30 days, which is not an insignificant amount of time, I'll be voting no on a lot more motions to committee in 2021.
Thank you, Counselor Fenton.
So, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject. Counselor, the way we can handle the motion on the floor is that Counselor Curran can agree to withdraw his motion.
This is Counselor Curran. I will agree to withdraw the motion.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Williams, did you still want to speak or?
Well, thank you, Madam President. I was just going to mention, I know it's a proposed amendment change, or I'm sorry, rule change that's being introduced, but because it fell outside of the agenda, could we have a subcommittee meeting on it and then reintroduce it as a future ordinance or order change?
Madam Clerk.
Yes, Counselor, we could.
So I would suggest doing that so that we could all go home, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone's in agreement on, like vote on the rules and then have a subcommittee meeting. I think that's what it is. Counselor Ramos.
That was going to be my question. If we can address it at a later date, vote on the rules now and then continue having this discussion in committee. Perhaps the committee chairperson can report out within 30 days, and we can make a decision on whether or not we want to adopt the rule change sometime next month.
Thank you, Counselor Ramos. Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just going to say the same thing that Councilor Ramos just said, and we do need some sort of working rules, and if we can always come back and change it a little time, at least we have a framework that we can work with as rules, as Councilor Fenton so appropriately pointed out.
Thank you, Counselor Davila. Counselor Fenton, there are currently no motions on the floor. So Counselor Fenton, there was something that you wanted to make a motion on.
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome.
I would like to make a motion that we add a new rule that no meeting of the Springfield City Council extend past 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time unless all members present unanimously agree. That's my motion.
Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
Second.
I did, and seconded by Counselor Gomez.
Motion made by Counselor Fenton that no meeting, new rule, no meeting extends past 10 p.m. except
unless all members present unanimously agree.
Unless all members present unanimously agree. And it was seconded by Counselor Gomez. Any discussion on the motion? Counselor Walsh.
No, I just wanted to second it. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Counselor Walsh. Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate Councilor Fenton's motion. I have to say that the first thing that came to my mind was New Rule. It's a popular show that's rules. Bill Maher, I think it's called, Bill Maher, the new rule. So listen, I get it, okay? I get it. However, I have a problem with putting time constraints to democracy. If we have to be here until 2 o'clock in the morning doing the people's business, I will be here. I get it. I get a suggestion, but I just don't feel comfortable with it. There's going to be a time, and I know if we all agree, and to me, and I know, again, this is not the intent, I'm sure this is not the intent of the motion, but I don't want to see anything being hijacked. You know, democracy takes time, it's loud, it's noisy. I will be voting no.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Letterman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the sentiment of Councilor Fenton's motion as well. However, I can't support it. I think that, you know, as it stands, we hold about 3 meetings a month, depending on the month. One of those meetings is a hearings meeting where we only hear permits. And, you know, that leaves 2 regular meetings a month to do the people's business. We're the 3rd largest city in Massachusetts, the 4th largest in New England. And sometimes we have long agendas. I think it's really important that we accomplish the work of our agendas, sort of regardless. And I know there's really been some very late nights that I've appreciated being on with all of you. I know we've been in one time till 2 in the morning with the marijuana zoning regulation, which certainly was a unique aspect. But I would also call into question the hearings meetings. If an agenda has hearings on it, I think those hearings sort of need to take place, especially regardless of what time the hearing comes up at as well. So I think that, you know, we put some rules in place relative to our debate, which I support and supported. But I think that, you know, we need to meet until our agendas are complete. And if that means working with the president to make sure that the agendas are an appropriate size, appropriate length, I think that could be an aspect we could look at. But I do think that we need to make sure that all of our business is taken care of before we go home in the evening.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. As the chairman for the body, I have no problem staying to whatever hour, honestly, that allows us to finish the people's business. I just, you know, another aspect of this is I can see, you know, when we're talking about budget discussions or property taxes or just some of the things that seem to be a little bit longer winded, if we get to that 10 o'clock mark and folks, let's just say folks who might not be passionate about the issue or as engaged or what have you, you know, a no would end that discussion. And if we're closer to finishing, then I think it makes sense to finish. So I would have to kindly, although I also respect the sentiment behind the change, just kindly say that I will be voting against that tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Williams. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Madam President. Basically, this is something that they kind of do at the state level. I believe that it is a good idea. It's really the whole body deciding. Sometimes people can be passionate on a certain issue, and it might start to lose some of the flow, and it might have to, around 10 o'clock, it might have to be revisited. If the body as a whole feels like, hey, let's take a break or readdress it another time, it's 10 o'clock. And let's get some fresh new energy and juice toward the issues. A lot of times it's still based on, like my colleague Councilman Letterman said, making sure that the agenda is put together properly. And just like Council President Williams is streamlining as far as some of the different debate and the different things we're changing now as a process. I believe that my colleague has a great idea as far as not saying that we would end at 10 o'clock, but I believe sometimes we get in heated debates and they drag on a little longer. And if we can collectively say we want to stay, let's stay. If we collectively say, let's take it another day, they already do this practice on the state level. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. The reason why I supported this this motion is I think Councilor Brown simply stated it true indeed that there's going to be times in which I've been part of this body for the last 5 years that we have went into the wee hours of the night. Respectfully, you know, one thing is a lot of the arguments when it came to the other rule changes were about time frame. I think that if we gave ourselves a chance to say that we have a hard stop at 10, but then to even have a consensus with one another to move forward after 10 o'clock, I think we should be given that chance to, because realistically, you're right with my colleagues that this is the people's business and sometimes it can go until late. But for us to be given the chance to be able to have a breather and to make sure that we are fresh and we're not, you know, per se, in the layman's terms of saying we're beating dead horses. Sometimes, you know, it just goes back to the you can only speak 3 times. If we're going to be moving these agendas forward, then all meetings, like what was argued before, when those prior rule changes, we shouldn't be going till 10 o'clock unless, you know, we have a consensus that we want to keep on moving forward. And yes, you're absolutely right. We are the 3rd largest municipality in the state of Massachusetts, but we are part-time. And realistically, we had that conversation in the past when it came to reasons why some of us are part-time and some of us have daytime jobs, and we have to be respectful of that. Imagine going till 2 o'clock in the morning, and some of us have to report to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, or 8 o'clock in the morning. I think that should be, we should give ourselves that option. I think that rule doesn't tell us that we're not going to go into the wee hours of the night, but it gives us an option to go back and just have a consensus that we're okay with moving forward after 10 o'clock. And it doesn't mean that, and it's a unanimous, remember, read the rule, listen to the rule and the amendment. It has to be unanimous. So there is a chance for us to deliberate, and it's a democratic, I think, process to the rule. Outside of that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gomez. Councilor Curran.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with Councilor Brown and Senator Gomez. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't go past 10 o'clock. If we vote, we can go past 10 o'clock. So I do support the rule change. I think it's a prudent rule change. I mean, this Zoom city council meetings are new to all of us. Councilor Hurst, President Hurst, did a great job, outstanding job getting this off the ground. And I think all the councilors now we kind of have the hang of it. And I think we're doing great. But, you know, last year, I mean, some of these meetings went to midnight and our phone batteries were dying and people were missing votes and whatnot. I think the 10 o'clock rule is prudent, and it's not only prudent for the counselors, it's prudent for the residents of Springfield who want to watch these votes. And sometimes these votes go past 10 o'clock at night. So I do think it's a great rule change, and I certainly support it. And again, it does not mean we stop at 10. If we vote, we can still go to midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, what have you. But I do think it's a good and prudent rule change, especially in the era of Zoom City Council.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that both sides of the issue have been very well articulated, and you know, I stand by the motion, but I hear everybody's point. So let's take a vote if that's okay with everybody.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Motion made by Councilor Fenton, seconded by Councilor Walsh. Councilor Hurst.
Just a quick question. How many items were on this agenda this evening?
11.
There were 11 items. So normally they're upwards in the 20s. It has taken us 2 hours to do 11 items. I just want you all to consider that as we move forward.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the motion, the new rule, I'm sorry, the motion of the new rule that no meeting should continue past 10 p.m. unless all members unanimously agree.
On Counselor Fenton's motion to add a new rule, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman.
No.
No. Counselor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen.
No.
No. Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos.
No.
No. Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Davila.
No.
No. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams.
No, no.
No.
Motion passed. Okay, is there, okay.
So now the council has to take a vote on the order to approve the rules.
Point of order.
Yes.
I couldn't hear what was said.
I'm
after.
sorry, Counselor Brown. The council has to take a vote to approve the actual order to approve the rules as a whole.
So we need a motion. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam President. So moved.
Gomez, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, okay,
Point of order, Madam President.
yes, Counselor Davila?
I do believe that we still have, unless I missed it, Rule 43.
No, we voted on Rule 40.
We did.
We did?
Yes.
Sorry to question it. Did we really, can we verify that? Rule 43, did we vote on it?
Yes, Counselor Williams made the motion. Counselor Walsh seconded the motion, and then it was a unanimous vote. And yes,
I thought that was Rule 10B, Madam Clerk.
it was not. We did amendment number 1 on Rule 3, amendment number 2 on Rule 3, amendment on Rule 10B, and then we did amendment on Rule number 43. Then we did amendment on Rule number 18 to remove paragraph 3, which failed. Then Counselor Curran withdrew his motion regarding Rule number 18, and then Counselor Fenton made his motion for the new rule.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Counselor Allen?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I just want to bring up an issue which I think for me should be discussed. I don't have a motion on it, but I've been watching all night, and there's about 6 or 7 counselors who are on Zoom live. And there's about 6 or 7 counselors who are not on Zoom live. And I prefer Zoom live. We also have guests here who are not on the council, but are in the meeting. And I find it pretty uneven to have half people one way, half people the other way. I don't know what's right, but I do know that I feel like we should have a policy on it. We have guests, we have hearings, people who come and ask for their special permit and stuff. And should they be on live? Is it right for them to be on live and then have counselors just have a black square or, a state, I don't know what those things are, but like Jesse has it right now, just a picture of himself. Not trying to pick on anybody. I just say, this is the way we've been operating, and I think it's kind of uneven. So I don't know if that's something we could bring up in a general government committee, or Mr. President, I didn't bring it up to you till right now, but as Councilor Hurst just said, we've been on 2 hours now. It's 8:32, and personally haven't seen some of my colleagues at all because they're not on live. Anyway, I don't want to, I want to know how to handle that, and how should I just ask it to go to General Government Committee, or Mr. President, do you have a thought on it?
Thank you, Councilor Allen. My thought is that when we discuss the rules of the road in the general government's meeting to discuss the other wording, maybe this can be discussed too, but I'll yield to Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President and Councilor Allen. I too think that this perhaps deserves another opportunity for discussion in the context of a general government subcommittee meeting. My just initial thoughts on that are, in my 9-to-5 setting, it's certainly encouraged when we have Zoom meetings that everyone is live as often as possible, just as a courtesy to others who are exchanging conversation with that individual. So, I can bend certainly right now. I certainly feel like it could be a courtesy to be on live when you are able to be on live. I'm not sure I'm convinced yet that it should be a policy.
Thank you, Councilor Williams. Okay. Next item on the agenda.
We have to vote on the order to approve the council rules and orders.
Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve, and Councilor Edwards seconded.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Gomez.
On the motion, Madam Clerk?
On approving the order for the council rules and orders, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Williams?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is an ordinance entitled Regular Meetings.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak to the order? Councilor Williams? Is that?
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, can you please repeat that?
The next item on the agenda is an ordinance entitled Regular Meetings.
Sorry, yeah, this is just to for the official time change from 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And of course, as we just voted on within the context of the rules, this would be consistent with that.
Thank you, Councilor Williams. Is that a motion?
Yes, that's the motion to change the ordinance from 6:30 to 7 p.m.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Meetings, yes.
Second.
Yeah, I can't see who's talking either. Who was that? I'm sorry.
Go
Who
ahead,
seconded?
second it.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Brown. So motion made by Councilor Williams, seconded by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Hurst?
Help me understand, did we already approve this time change already? Am I off by that? Did we already approve it earlier and this is just to confirm or no?
Madam Clerk, can you explain the difference?
So the vote we took initially was to make an amendment just to put public speak out a half an hour before regularly scheduled meetings, but we have not voted on the time of the council meetings.
Okay, so my thought is that since we voted to have a cutoff at 10 o'clock, it would seem to me that it is only fitting that we start our meetings earlier to give folks more time to debate.
Councilor Hurst, any other discussion on the time change of the regular meeting? Councilor Ramos?
Madam President, I agree with Councilor Hurst. I will be voting against the time change.
Thank you, Councilor Ramos. Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Madam President. May I say, by the way, before I make my official comment, My compliments, Madam President. You have run a fantastic meeting. You ought to be applauded.
Oh, please.
With that being said, I agree with my colleagues, Councillor Hurst and Councillor Ramos. Look, I'm going to say it again. I will be here until 2 o'clock in the morning doing the people's business if that's what's required. I am feeling a little comfortable with the optics that we're putting constraints on democracy. 3 hours, we're not, for God's sakes, 45 minutes in one issue. So I think that since we did a 10 p.m. cutoff, then we need to give democracy a break and keep it at 6:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Letterman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, I think that the proposal that's been brought forward by the president was made prior to the context of this cutoff that has now been implemented in the rules. I still think that there's a logistical advantage to beginning the meetings at 7 o'clock in that it gives more time for committee meetings to take place on Monday afternoons and evenings. And I also think that it actually opens up public speak out to more people for public speak out to take place at 6:30 versus 6 o'clock for individuals who may be working until 5 or 5:30. Now, certainly we recognize that everybody's work schedule in the public and among ourselves is not all a 9 to 5 regular. Some people work second and third shift. But just in terms of trying to make more room for the necessary events on Monday nights, I'm going to still support the move to 7 o'clock. And that's part of the reason why I oppose the move to have the 10 o'clock cutoff. With that said, I think that, if the issue is serious enough, I have every confidence that the council will continue on past the 10 o'clock time. So I'm going to support the president's ordinance introduction.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Brown.
I also am going to support my colleague, Councilor President Williams. I understand the concept. Some people have different types of homes. Some people have different type of jobs. Me, for instance, is a home with children who come from school, homework, feeding. Sometimes, you can, gain the world and lose your soul. Like I said, my children are my soul. I believe that there's a lot of constituents who want to participate in the city council meetings. I've been to some and I believe that we can get more people. I want to get more people engaged. And like my colleague said, Councilor Letterman, it's not like we're going home at 10. If it's a pressing matter, we can all vote and extend the time. But this is to engage the constituents and get them more involved. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Is there any further questions? Is there any other discussion on the motion? Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief again. I also think that, when we look at the 7 o'clock start time outside of just our own personal schedules, which might cause us to be a little bit more selfish in how we vote tonight. I also want to think about those that have served us throughout this entire pandemic and Focus Springfield. We should be giving them also the due time to set up meetings, which is a job within itself. So when things are tighter together, it presents more of a challenge for them to schedule those as appropriate so that, of course, we can have them at the start time that we say we're going to start them at. So I just want folks to consider that as well. And I also want folks to consider the fact that we also just voted officially to have all members are encouraged to attend public speak out. So this is not really a 6:30 start, it's really a 6 o'clock start, which means that if you're coming from a job at 5 p.m., you literally have 40 to 45 minutes, if that, to get prepared for a city council meeting. So if you're looking to have a subcommittee meeting during that time, that poses a potential problem as well. So I just want folks to remember those points. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Any other discussion? Seeing none? Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion.
This is to take first step on the ordinance. We'd still have second and third steps at our next regular meeting. Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
I'm sorry to ask this, but could you just repeat the motion? I just got confused on it. So,
The motion is to take first step on the ordinance, which changes the time to begin at 7 p.m.
okay, yes, thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Counselor Karen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
No.
No. Counselor Ramos?
No.
No. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh?
No.
No. Counselor Davila?
No.
No. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
No.
No. Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Motion approved to move to second and third step. Madam Clerk, is there any other agenda items to discuss?
There is nothing further for the council.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Good job.
President, why'd you do that to me?
Madam.
Great meeting. Great meeting. My compliments.
Good
Good night,
job.
everybody.
Good job.